Welcome to Wrestling is Hard, where every side is the dark side of the ring. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard4wrestling. Email questions and complaints. wrestling@hard@gmail.com. We don't ever get emails. I'm Jim. Brandon, hello. How you doing? Let's go, Phils.
Do people still send emails?
I don't think anybody sends emails. I get.
We had one. We just ignored it, huh?
We did get one and ignored it. It's hard.
I'm good, man. Go Phillies. We I think I got a little Phillies fever in you Friday night. We got into the game, went to a concert, caught the end of it at Johnny Brenda's in Philadelphia. And I think that has since subsided. You're over the Phillies already, so I hear, as we were talking about before we get on.
Yeah, I'm over it. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm glad everybody's happy. We had a good time on Friday. I had a blast.
Yeah, that was fun. Good show. We're playing a game of try not to check our phones.
I was failing miserably at that, especially when
Failed miserably.
Once the ninth inning was over, I was checking my phone until we went and watched the rest of the game.
And then, somehow we're checking our phone through a concert every 2 minutes, trying to see if something happens, and then somehow we miss the only time that they do score. We go downstairs where there's a TV at Johnny Brenda's to watch the game, and staring at it for 5 minutes, and Jimmy goes, "Holy shit, I think that says 6-5, not 5-5." And I was like, "No, it doesn't." It actually did. The Phillies ended up winning. We just couldn't see it from 50 feet away with all these people in front of us. But it's a good time.
It's an interesting scene. We had a good time. I was hugging and high-fiving people I didn't know. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's good to, get into the spirit. But as it's slowly affecting the rest of my life, the games moving around, working in bar, running a bar and staffing a bar. And everybody knows me, I don't like to spend money. So who's the extra hand? The nights that the Phillies are playing, I'm not paying anybody. I'll do it myself. So it's infringing on my my personal time. Speaking of which, Chris, how you doing?
That was fucking horrible until about 2 minutes ago. Now I'm doing better.
Good. See, you got to get vent. You got to get it out.
You got to vent.
You got to
vent. It's been a pattern in my life where my depression leads to violent outbursts. Violent outbursts of anger. So, but no, I'm with Jimmy. As when I'm in it, I dig it, but when I'm thinking about it, I can't stand it. Like tomorrow night I have to go into work, and I'll be into it. While I'm working, I'll be into it. But when I'm thinking about Thursday night, and then I have a football game and a baseball game that I'm gonna have to work. I'll dread it till the second I go in. So, and also I was telling Brandon before the podcast, I think I said it to you too, Jim. I don't know, but I went from possibly working game 7, and that was the only game I was going to have to work because it's just the way the schedule lined up. From possibly working game 7 to working games 4, 5, and 6. So, yeah.
I might go in tonight. Fuck up.
Yeah.
See, my whole thing was, my schedule was tomorrow is my birthday. And Tina and my wife and I go out for my birthday. We always go to the same place now. We go to Royal Izakaya in South Philly. They eat fucking sushi and noodles and drink giant beers and drink sake and then go home and be home by 10 and asleep. But now I got to shift all this. Got to do it next week, maybe. I don't want to do it next week. I want to do it now. We don't do gifts and all that shit. We go out to dinner. And this is changing it all. So now I'm grumpy. But I'm okay with it.
I actually asked for a birthday gift this year.
What'd you get?
Something specific I asked for. I asked to, I informed my wife that I was going to, without her consent, buy Shin Ultraman on Amazon when it comes out. So it's going to pop up on her card because the thing's all hooked up to her fucking.
Oh, it's already paid for? It's already out?
No. That's I think it comes out my birthday's coming up too. My birthday's the 13th. So I think it comes out that Friday.
I thought maybe it was streaming for free. I guess not.
The movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I remember you sent me something. Maybe it is, but you sent me something. I thought it said you had to pay for it.
That's okay. I'll pay $20 for it or whatever.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
So this is a Blu-ray, or is this a book? Sorry.
No, this is fucking streaming.
Streaming.
Oh.
Yeah, we had so I got all my angst out this weekend. It was a fucking exhausting weekend, but I got through it. And yeah, moving on.
Onward and upward.
You know, Jim, Royal Izakaya does have takeout and delivery. If you want to spice up your night tomorrow.
I want to sit in there. I got to go to work. I'm not doing it at work. Fuck work. Dude, work sucks.
We're eating. What you eating?
What you got there? We have one bowl at work, right? And it's like I bought it at the Asian restaurant or Asian supply, so it looks like a noodle bowl. I eat everything out of it. What'd you get? What'd you get? Ramen? No, it's a fucking. It's a salad.
It's a chopped up hot dog.
Yeah, we eat dog shit. Don't fucking get your nose out of my fucking food.
When this happens a lot at my work, because like when I'm there by myself, usually, right? And even if I'm not, I got to hork food down behind the bar. If you're listening to this, hopefully we have enough people listening to this that they'll take this message. When your bartender's horking down food behind the bar because it's the only time he's able to eat, don't ask him what he's fucking eating. Leave him the fuck alone.
It's a suspect.
I'm eating a big fucking place of I wish you die in a fucking horrible fiery crash. That's what I'm eating, you motherless cocksucker.
There you go. Motherless and a cocksucker. Whew. All right, here's your advice. Listeners, while you're out there celebrating.
Don't talk to your bartender at all.
When you're out there celebrating your sports, be kind to the staff. Be conscientious. And be generous. Because we ain't having fun usually. We may pretend. It's all smiles, man. You're my friend. But as soon as you leave, you're like, I fucking hope you drank enough and got behind the wheel because you're going to die, bitch. There you go.
Woo! Go see Chris.
I had some
green tea shots every 10 minutes.
Green tea shots.
I had somebody say to me, well, so first of all, this one person, my wife and I, my wife gave him the greatest nickname. His nickname is Margaritaville. So Margaritaville has a tendency of ordering his drink. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this, but I'll describe it. He holds his glass up, shakes it, and points to it.
Oh, hell no. That ain't happening.
And you remember, I worked with a guy, and fuck it, I'll say his name because the dude was awesome. He doesn't work there anymore. His name was Joe Arrow, and he was out of his mind, and he was fucking hilarious, and I loved him. And whenever anybody would demand things from him, and he was an older guy, he was probably in his mid 60s at the time, maybe a little bit like closer to 70. And when people were very demanding, he would go. Or if he was doing something with his back to him, like he's working on the register and people start shouting drinks, he would just go, yes, sir, right away, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, right away, sir. Yes, sir, right away, sir. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Right. So now what I do is I go, when this guy shakes the glass or points to the glass, I go, does that mean you need another one?
Yeah.
Do you need another one? Is that what that means? You need another one? And then because I can't stop him. What am I going to yell at him?
Sure.
Yell at him will fucking explode. He'll be like,
I might want to see that.
He's that old. Oh God. But yeah, fuck you. This is the big fuck you episode.
All right, yeah. Let's talk about
the
something.
Big bad luck Fale fuck 'em episode.
Yeah. You know, there's been a lot going on, and the last thing we wanted to do was watch AEW, so we haven't been watching AEW. We did our Halloween episode. That was fun. Go check it out, Halloween Havoc. I actually listened back to that. It is pretty funny. We were struggling at one point because that fucking pay-per-view sucked, but man, that was a funny fucking episode. I suggest you go back and watch that or listen to that, and definitely watch Halloween Havoc 91 for the first 20 minutes and then turn it the fuck off.
When Jimmy said, and then we're just going to go through this match by match, my heart sank. I'm like, oh no, not match by match. We had a good time.
Oz versus Bill Kazmaier.
He's got a giant punching balloon painted like the planet Earth.
Best 2 out of 3 falls match anywhere on a card is like, oh God. Just call it a 3 falls match.
Right.
Assemble it like assemble a giant cage and then take 20 minutes to take it down before moving on to a match that nobody cares about.
So let's talk about some stuff. I'm just curious because we kind of struggle every week. I think you guys can agree to watch professional wrestling. It's kind of hard, and that's why this is called Wrestling is Hard. The reason being is that there's moments that are fun, and then there's 60% that's fucking trash. That's not entertaining. That's commercials. That's commercials for the show you're watching. That's promos for a show no one watches, Rampage. And I've been thinking about this, and what gravitates me towards Japanese wrestling, I think, over the years. And I'm not a television fan. I'm not a big TV guy. I don't like to sit down and watch fucking TV. And these shows the American wrestling shows are structured like television shows. At some point, Vince McMahon, post-Attitude Era, probably early 2000s, decided that every show has to have a massive promo segment. It can't just be stuff, quick cuts to why things are happening. It's got to be long. It's got to be, and it's bled into AEW. This is what AEW is like. They were going to be different. The only thing that's different about AEW is, okay, it's different faces, different style of matches, still long-ass promos. It's just instead of 20-minute promos, we get 10-minute promos by these guys. The show's still 2 fucking hours long. Now, I'm not bashing the show. AEW is way better, in my opinion, is a much more entertaining product than WWE. But I found, thinking about it, that I don't enjoy watching this. And Japanese wrestling is built like a live event. It is for the live audience to go there. There's stuff all over the show. You get this early match between like Tiger Mask, who's 50, and a kid in black underwear getting shit kicked out of him for fucking 10 minutes. But it's to liven you up and you're ready to go. And the crowd's pumped because now they have crowds that cheer. And I'd like to talk about Japanese wrestling. And I'd like to know why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people don't watch Japanese wrestling. Mostly it's the language. Easy to get over. I don't listen to fucking commentary, rarely in American pro wrestling. But I mean, I just want to talk about some of the positive stuff that's going on in Japan that maybe we should be paying attention, especially Wrestle Kingdom season coming up. Thoughts? Brandon, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I agree. It seems like with a lot of the entertainment media that I've been consuming lately, it's an era of retreads and remakes, copies of stuff. Last night, I watched some of AEW, and then I watched the new Hellraiser movie, and both of them just blurred together to me as like, this is kind of a soulless recreation of something. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. Okay, yeah, this is a wrestling show. This is a horror movie. That immediately, as soon as they both ended, just went in one ear, out the other. I can't even remember what I watched. Japanese wrestling, for me, I think, as I got into it as an adult, feels very fresh to me. It's interesting. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of depth to it that I didn't know about. The challenge is just the accessibility. I think obviously you have your New Japan World, but beyond that, you go into, I think it's DDT Universe or the other site, and there's just hours and hours of content to navigate. Yeah, Wrestle Universe, sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to navigate. So you kind of need somebody to point you in the right direction there a little bit. But I think if you can get through that, you will feel the freshness that you're looking for.
Even YouTube's got, all you have to do is find some companies, subscribe. They put up shows all the time. It's basically a handheld over top of this, like a stationary camera over top of it, just recording the stuff. You don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but it's fun. It's entertaining. It's goofy. There's no commentary. I think I've gotten away from commentary in general.
Yeah.
I just don't need it. I like to feel like I'm there. I don't like to feel like someone is treating me like I'm a fucking moron and I don't know how good versus evil works. How I'm supposed to root for good guys, but I'm supposed to boo the cheater. Like, it's common sense. It's good versus evil. It's the battle of two athletes. And I find that the most attractive part about it, and what pushes me away from American wrestling. Chris, thoughts?
When we first got into Japanese wrestling in the 90s, there was no commentary in English. And I never felt like it needed it. I always felt like it would be cooler to hear to know exactly what the Japanese commentary team was saying, but I never needed to understand be told what the storyline was. I find myself the only time I actually need commentary in professional wrestling right now is if we're watching something for the podcast and I want to do something else. You know?
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
So like if I'm cooking and I have AEW on in the background, and even like, you know, I'm watching AEW to do the show, and I'll be cooking dinner and they'll explain what's going on and I'll have to keep my eyes on the screen the entire time. Whereas if we watch Stardom and there's a Japanese commentator, and I don't have a problem watching Stardom, but I have to actually block that time out where I have nothing else to do. I don't need the commentary. You get subtitles on the post-match promos, which will sum up any if you're just jumping in any minor story intricacies that you may not be able to follow. Things like Suzuki coming back. I mean, because like Stardom will go back a year. Something that happened a year and a half, 2 years ago. So if you're new to it and you didn't see it happen, you may be a little confused, but they do a good job of translating that after the fact during the promos. But yeah, I'm with you. You listen, I've been bitching about wrestling reruns since we started doing this. I've been using the word rerun over and over again. It's no different. It's become, and even for the live audience, to what you were saying, when you talk about AEW or WWE, which we don't even really watch, but if you talk about these two major products in the United States, the live audience, you lose them. Because on TV, you're watching a TV show that should be geared towards you watching something meant for a live audience, right? You watch any sport, they don't change the way it's presented. They want you to feel like you're there, right? They don't change the way it's presented to enhance the drama of what's going on while you're sitting on your couch watching. And when you talk about an AEW, or just let's just say the major American wrestling promotions, if you talk about watching them on television, you're watching a sporting event, quote unquote.
And we're talking about, sorry, just cut you off. We're talking about live television, not like TV.
Yes.
We're talking about
yeah, live television.
You're
watching a sporting event that is, that they're presenting to you like a television show. And then if you go live, you're watching a television show being recorded that's being presented like a sporting event. And they don't have that. You go to Ring of Honor, even though it's not dead, but it's dead. Remember when you would go to Ring of Honor, they did pay-per-views. You didn't know what was going on. They did TV tapings. You had to watch. It was made for the people that were there. And then they had small promos that were being cut. You couldn't even hear a lot of them.
Right.
If they were talking into a microphone to a camera, different if you're in the middle of the ring. But if you're talking to a microphone and a camera, you couldn't even hear them. That's the way it was when they used to tape WWF in Allentown. And that's how you kept people involved. It wasn't these long fucking periods of like, here's a commercial break. Let's show some commercials. We'll show the exact commercials that we show on TV to the stadium. It's really an odd thing. It's become an odd thing, and I'm glad you bring it up because it's almost like I haven't been able to nail down what has just become like this drudgery of watching professional wrestling, and that's what it is.
Well, even live, you're watching a television show be created,
right?
And by the time you get to the point where it's TV, when you're doing a TV taping at AEW, you're watching either before the main show, which is at 6:00, and I'm not there yet. Or you're watching after the main show, which is Rampage, which stinks. And I'm already gassed out, so I don't want to watch that. But they have TV tapings with a live show in the middle. I don't know. It's what makes it hard to watch. Like I can't figure out how to watch it. You can't on DVR and on Peacock. You can't double time. I don't think. If you watch it on YouTube, you can double time. You can zip through. You got to fast forward and then pause it. Oh, I missed something. I got to back up. It's hard. It's hard to fucking, wrestling is hard, brother. It's tough. But I wanted to grab some stuff that was cool. Brandon, any final thoughts on that before we move on?
No, let's move on.
Yeah. I wanted to grab some stuff that I thought was interesting. And most importantly, I keep asking myself, and New Japan's had a tough fucking run since pandemic. It's been rough. They haven't had any foreign talent. Guys are starting to go over. But it's like in general, it's not it's not. It used to be the cool thing to watch, but I did catch up on the tag tournament, the TV title tournament, and there was a match between Ren Narita. I don't know if you guys watch this. It's Ren Narita, who is now back. He's 24, I believe. He's back from his excursion.
Is that it?
He's called the Son of Strong Style. He's basically Katsuyori Shibata, a more athletic Katsuyori Shibata. And him versus Tomohiro Ishii rekindled my love for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Brandon, did you catch this?
I did not, no.
No, I sent you guys. I told you to check it out. Chris, did you check this?
Baseball and football have worn my brain to a nub, so I apologize, Jim. I did not.
No, that's okay.
What happened?
They beat the fucking shit out of each other. It was awesome. Ren Narita pulled it out with a 3 count in under 15 minutes. Flashback to like 2016, 17, 18 New Japan. Like hard hitting, crowd going fucking berserk. They had cheering in the crowd. There was women crying in the fucking crowd when Ren Narita won. It was absolutely insane. And one of the things I think that is missing from New Japan is the cheering crowds. I think we're getting there. We're getting to the point where we can go back. We can go and look at New Japan again and be like excited every week. And I think Wrestle Kingdom is going to bring this back, where we're going to have these live crowds, people screaming, people crying, people ripping their hair out when their guy loses. I think we're close to it. I think we're going to get there. And I think the days of us having to drudge through television shows called pro wrestling might be. This looked like it was going to be the future of professional wrestling. And everybody was going to treat pro wrestling like it was a fucking sport. Ring of Honor was doing it. New Japan does it. And then Noah started getting better, and they were doing it. And it started to feel like, oh, okay, we have a legit, like something fun to watch that isn't a television show that is called pro wrestling. And it kind of died with the pandemic. And I think that maybe we're getting it back. Brandon, thoughts?
I mean, it's New Japan kind of finds himself in a position that I felt like they were in when I got into them, where the audience is hungry for something interesting and no one's providing it. Felt like AEW was going to give that for a little while, but this is just watching pro wrestling. We previously mentioned, is just one of those things where all the companies feel like they're just kicking it back and forth. Like, we don't want to put anything good out. We don't have anything good to show you. And once again, they can kind of pounce here and heat up pretty quickly. So I think I will check that out, that match.
Chris, go ahead.
I think, every conversation that we had about New Japan, we would kind of wrap it up with one of us saying, but I mean, I think this is going to get better after the pandemic's over. So it's not really, you're 100% correct. It's not really brain surgery. We never got any new people. We never got any crowds that were into it. I'm not going to shit on, his name, the samurai guy that was the champion for a while last year.
Shingo Takagi. Yeah, it's
Takagi, sorry, Shingo. Yeah, no, awesome. I'm not going to shit on him. That's what I'm saying. Like, but the Shingo championship run, I mean, it was the best that they can do. Not that dude isn't fucking awesome. He is. I had no problem with him being the champion. The weird Okada, the belt is the belt, but this is the belt because I like this belt better, and I don't know if I'm going to win that belt for the belt's sake of the belt. And here's a belt that's the belt that the winners won that belt. I don't.
They took Ospreay's belt away, and
yeah,
he couldn't make it over, and he was running around with a replica belt saying this is the belt, and then the other guy's like, that's the fuck.
But I will say this, I mean, at no point during this entire time was that not where the best talent in the world existed. Okay, I'll give you Danielson in AEW, but when you're talking about pure talent the talent that I want to see, that I want on my television, it begins and ends with Okada. And then there's all these other guys that I would rather see on my TV. Zack Sabre Jr., of course, Tanahashi, even though he's 100 years old, he's actually a year younger than me. But Tanahashi, any of these guys on the New Japan roster. So I'm really excited to see when this starts getting rolling again. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if their plan wasn't keep it floating, keep it going until we get to Wrestle Kingdom 2023, and then we can explode this thing all over the place again. You said a tweet out that I'm not going to get into the context of the tweet, but it had Minoru Suzuki and Tom Lawler. I can't wait to fucking really get to see Tom Lawler. I'm excited about this fucking dude. It's like you look at that guy and you're like, wow, how nobody looks like him. There's nobody in the fucking world of professional wrestling that looks like that fucking animal.
He's skanky looking.
Dude, horrible looking. And I can't wait to see him. And look, it ain't like he don't know it. He's not out there being
he leans into it. His nickname's Dirt.
Right.
He's filthy Tom Lawler. Yeah.
Filthy Tom Lawler. We saw him. Who did we see him fight? Davey Boy Smith Jr.?
Right, at the
showboat. Yeah, Davey Boy Smith Jr. So I think we're in this subconscious holding pattern, and we weren't putting ourselves through the worst of the worst in New Japan. So I'm not tired of it. I missed it, and hopefully this gets them rolling again. But I'll be honest with you. If you give me wrestling from America in one plate, and then wrestling from Japan on another plate, you might as well. You could take a shit on the wrestling. That could be the wrestling in America plate. It's just a hefty liquefied bowl of doo-doo. It's always going to lose, in my opinion, and it's because of the presentation. It's because of the, I'll say it, horrific fan base and the way that they behave. It's just a totally different animal, and it's not. It's winning. AEW, in my opinion, AEW was the best thing going over the last few years by fucking default. It was by default.
Yeah, they had live crowds.
Nothing really got me in. There was one or two, there were some matches that I watched and I really got into while I was watching. I said it before, the Acclaimed versus Keith Lee and Swerve. I got into that. I was not excited for that. That was the work rate and the story being told by the four guys in the ring that made me get involved with that. But as far as everything in the way that it was presented and the build up to it, I didn't give a fuck, dude. Like, it didn't matter. Nothing has mattered to me, right? There was one match that I was excited to see because it was being, I mean, I'm sure there are if I think about it, but if I can name one match that I was really excited to see just because the presentation leading up to it was so fucking stupid and goofy on purpose, would have been Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in the exploding ring. And it was it was like somebody just fucking laid out a wet fart at the end of it and disappointed the entire wrestling world.
I mean, there was stuff in AEW. I'm not going to completely knock AEW. There was some stuff with their builds where they built to. I mean, Brandon's a big fan of the chaos matches. I am too. Where they built to, the Stampede match was great, but take that out of the equation. We're talking about pay-per-view matches. Pay-per-views are a different format than the television show week to week. I'll still throw on a WWE pay-per-view once in a while.
Sure.
I am not ever going to sit there through 3 hours of fucking Raw. I have more important things to do. I can masturbate probably 5 times in 3 hours before I get Raw. I would much rather do that than sit there.
That's a lot of times.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Well, real quick, you notice when I talked about the matches that I got into, as far as I'm concerned, like you said, there were good matches. None of them were done during the produced and written build.
Right.
I didn't give a fuck. CM Punk, MJF, and the dog collar match, I'll give it that one. They did a good job with that. But none of it was like, all right, we're going to put our heads together and we're going to write this story and it's going to get people involved. And then it's going to go, it's going to steamroll, and more people are going to get in, more people are going to involve, and everybody's going to be at your seat. And then the pay-per-view will hit, and then I'll give your finale. No, it was all, and then you go, oh, that match was really good. But I didn't give a fuck about 99% of them until I was in the match. And the work rate and the storytelling being done by the people that were involved in that match is what put the hook on me and said, this is good. Think back and be like, okay, it was all right. It was okay. But the end of it was great. The actual match was great. And that had nothing to do with production. None of that shit. It was the 4 or 2 people in the match that put it over the edge for me.
And think about it, like one of the biggest feuds that they built for a year was Adam Page versus Kenny Omega finally facing off. And the AEW diehards were like, this is the greatest storytelling I've ever seen in my entire life. I've been waiting for years for this match. Since being the Elite episode 322, I have been waiting for this match. And, I'm like, okay, it's about time they faced off. Cool. Brandon does.
Yeah, it feels like it's been the same storyline for 2 years. They just trade who's the character in the storyline. When I put it on last night, now it's the factions are Bullet Club or Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society are the beef, and they rotate the singles match, the tag match between those things. That's still going on. MJF's super confident he's going to win the title, which means something's going to go wrong. And it's we're 3 weeks away, and I can already feel the whole pay-per-view that I'm going to be groaning at November 19th, which is just a shitty way to be about these things. That's not what any of us want to spend an hour doing. It's almost to the point now where I'm like, if we didn't have this podcast, I'm not sure I would have any idea what was going on in AEW. There's a while there where I would.
Go ahead, continue.
I don't feel like that now. That's all I have to say.
I'm in 100% agreement with you.
Yeah, absolutely. If it wasn't for us having to do this every week or wanting to do this every week, to sit down and talk to each other every week, I would not be watching AEW. I would not give a shit about it. I'd be like, check out the pay-per-view. Why would I watch AEW when I can watch Stardom, when I can watch New Japan, when I can watch Noah? We're going to watch very entertaining fucking professional wrestling. Instead, I'm putting myself through 2 hours of, oh, God, fuck. I'm trying to think of like the real dud storylines out there. Tenman is back. That guy. Remember that guy? Tenman. The Tenman, the chairman of the board. He was pushed into every fucking major faction for 3 years. Oh, this will get him over. This will get him over. Didn't do anything. Okay, Chris.
Well, first of all, I was just curious, where exactly that person that was talking about how great the AEW feud between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, what area is he from? I was curious about that accent.
What did I do?
I don't know. I don't know. It was some kind of weird nerd. I mean, if it wasn't for the podcast, and one of the things about the podcast is the same reason why you go to AEW. It's for the hang. Just go out with your buddies and have a good time. I would compare better things than watching AEW for me would be literally sitting in my basement staring into a corner, zoning out and not thinking. And I'm not saying that I actually really enjoy doing that. So I'm not like saying it like, but it's just like anything else. This is not entertaining. And it's just like, I'm not articulate enough to put my finger on what it is. I could tell you what it's not. And that is like
fun,
enticing. It's not interesting. It's just like, people watch wrestling because it's the thing they do on that night. I heard was Eric Bischoff was talking about how like
there was someone else that put out numbers that like they did a poll, and they said that over about 50% of WWE watchers watch it because it's what they did, and now it's what their kids do on Monday and Friday nights. Like they just generationally watch it. It's like Monday Night Football. You may not give a shit if shit team number 1 is playing against shit team number 2, but you've watched Monday Night Football every fucking week, and it's on, so you watch it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, Chris.
Oh, I was saying, Eric Bischoff, when asked about why Turner decided to put Nitro on against Raw, and the answer was because Monday night is the time when they go to watch wrestling, right? I could put it on Tuesday, but nobody watches TV on Tuesday. Nobody watches TV on Friday, right? At the time when Monday Night Raw came out, nobody watched. If you did not go up against NBC on Thursday, you lost. What the fuck is the point? Just flush the money down the toilet. That was must-see TV, if you remember those days, right? So it's just people are accustomed, like you were just saying, people are accustomed to doing a thing, so they just continually do it every week. I still will go on a Monday night and flip through the menu and see Raw and turn it on and then go, what am I doing? And turn it off.
I
still
forced
do it.
myself to stop doing it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there's Raw. What the fuck? And then I go, I'll give it a chance. And then it's just like some fucking cringe ass promo for 3 seconds or some other weird shit. And I'm just like, I'm fucking gone. And the problem is that what you were saying before is that you end up, because everything is presented in this weird way that we're just so sick of seeing it all the time, you end up missing some stuff. Like if I could just get here, from on my menu, it had it all broken down into half hours, like they were half hour television shows, and then this would be the, what are they called, the what are the Usos and all that crew called, whatever the bloodline. Right? If this is the bloodline half hour, okay, I'll turn it on and watch Jimmy or Jey Uso fight with Sami Zayn.
Apparently, it's fucking very funny. I'm not watching it, but
it's really good. But I'm not watching it because I'm not going through it to find it, and I'm not watching the rest of the shit that surrounds it. Go back to fucking hour. I keep saying, man, bring it to an hour on Saturday afternoons, man. Fucking get rid of all this shit.
Like, what was some of the most intriguing television fucking pro wrestling in the last 10 years? It was friggin' Lucha Underground. The show was without commercials with 45 minutes. And
right.
It told more storyline in 45 minutes than 3 hours of Raw does. And, everybody it was like, Triple H is taking over. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be wonderful. Triple H is here. Triple H is here. I saw that they're still doing the Io Sky and Dakota Kai and all those people versus Bianca Belair. They're still doing it. They've been doing it for fucking 4 months. The same storyline. They just fight each other again every week. Yeah, Brandon.
I was going to make the same point Chris made at the end there, where Triple H is going to come do all this stuff until it gets to the point where they still, no matter what, must produce 5 hours of televised content every single week. AEW now too. I think if you add up Dark Elevation, Rampage, and Dynamite, they're putting out about 5 hours a week of content, and there's just no medium that needs to exist for 5 hours a week. Even if you're the biggest NFL fan in the world, you don't need to watch 5 straight hours of that shit. Anything gets boring. I don't get how it just needs to be reduced. Like or at least not be every week. And I'm not saying just pay attention to the pay-per-views 4 times a year is too light. I would like to if it was a decent show, I'd like to follow it more than that. But geez Louise, man, it's just like these stories can't progress at this speed.
It's imagine a television show and you watch it forever. You just watch it forever and nothing happens. It's like the season 2 of The Walking Dead, which was probably the last one I paid attention to, where they were stuck on the farm because there was a writer's strike. So they just walked around the farm for a fucking season.
That's at least they had a reason.
At least they had a legit reason.
At least they had a legit reason.
No, it's just, we haven't sold enough T-shirts. I don't know what the fuck the common sense is, except for, like Brandon said, to fill TV. They have to fill TV. We have 5 hours a week, and this is what we have to do because we have to fill it.
Can I just, something that I noticed this morning when I got up, we don't watch the product, so none of us know. Last night on Raw.
Go ahead.
Asuka and Alexa Bliss beat Io Sky and Dakota Kai for the women's tag team champions. There was a match involving Asuka and Io Sky on Raw on American television. 2 fucking badasses. I don't know. This is why I don't know, because I don't give a fuck.
And like, I'm in that Joshi circle that people would be stoked on. I ain't hearing nothing. Nope. Nobody's like, oh, that was great. Or, hey, are you excited? No, they've now done it on house shows, and every week they faced each other for now fucking since SummerSlam. They're constantly on. It's boring.
Jesus.
It's unbelievable. But this is our problem. This is our problem with fucking American wrestling in general on television. It stinks. Going live, it's fun.
I mean, I understand they're going to do it on house shows. That was always WWE's way of fleshing out whether or not a storyline is going to work on television. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just,
but house shows aren't shown on television.
Well, that's what I mean. So you flesh it out.
They're doing it on television as well.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like
non-stop.
You're going to do it on a house show. You go around the country. You just see how people feel about this. Oh, this fucking feud ain't working. Let's switch gears. And then once you feel like, I remember years ago, they used to do like, Tatanka would work heel on the house shows. Let's just see how this goes. And then they stopped doing it. And then a year later, Tatanka was a bad guy because it worked. Tatanka. He actually did.
But remember when he showed up in like a battle royal at WrestleMania? And
nobody said anything. Nobody even announced it. He was in a WrestleMania battle royal, and I was watching, and I was like, "Wait a minute, is that fucking Tatanka?" Like, why wouldn't you bring that up? Like, you have a section, a large section of your audience, right? Like, Jim, you and I approaching 50, we don't represent a small section of WWE's audience. There's a lot of fucking guys out there that are our age that still watch wrestling.
Most of their audience is people over a certain age.
Right. Like, why? And the other thing is why would you how are you going to get young people when you have, the ability to watch 8 million football games, every fucking baseball game's on TV, every fucking basketball, Tuesdays and Thursdays is basketball. Now, what the fuck am I going to watch this shit for when real drama is playing out with real consequences playing out in the ring in front of me or on the TV in front of me? But there's guys like us, like, why would you miss that? It was a big fucking deal. Like it took me a minute and I was like, yo, damn. And not only that, I was invested in it because I wanted Tatanka to win. Instead of just talking to my friends because I don't want to watch the Andre the Giant fucking battle royal because who gives a shit? I was fucking like, yo, Tatanka. This is Tatanka. Losing my mind.
Are we done shitting all over this product or what?
I think so.
Is that what we're concluding with? More Tatanka?
More Tatanka. So anyway, let me go through some stuff. So the TV title tournament, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Evil defeated Yoshihashi, right? So we got Evil through. He's facing Zack Sabre Jr., who defeated David Finlay. So we get an Evil versus Zack Sabre Jr. show, which could be fun because it seems like Zack Sabre Jr.'s got Evil's number in this fucking stuff. Then Ren Narita faced Toru Yano. And of course, you're like, oh, God, it's Toru Yano. But one cool thing, I watched these two matches. Toru Yano comes out. He starts doing his shtick with the chair, and he's got the spray bottle, and he's got his 20 DVDs. And, he's doing, ooh. Ren Narita runs in and kicks him right in his fucking face as soon as he comes out of the fucking entrance. Beats his ass the whole match, ends up winning in 8 minutes. And then we get Sonata defeated Kenta in about 14 minutes. And that was a pretty good match, too. But then we get so going into this, I'll take a look at this card. So I got this card up. It's the Osaka show. It's called New Japan Battle Autumn 2022. It's in Osaka. It's happening this weekend, I believe. The 5th. Yeah, it's happening this weekend. I'll go through this card real quick. There's some stuff to be excited about. So junior heavyweight tag title, United Empire, who are the champs. Now it's Francisco Akira, which I talked to you guys last year about him showing up with the lighter. It was really cheesy. And TJP, vaccine hater TJP, versus Bushi and Teton, which actually could be a pretty good match. But here's the fun stuff. Ready? Here we go. So you guys know what's going on with Carl Anderson, right? He's got the never open weight title. He signed to WWE. Now, I don't know if this is a designed storyline or whatever. Carl Anderson won't relinquish the title. He shouldn't have to. So they've signed a match between Hikuleo, who's the challenger, and Yujiro Takahashi is filling the role. I think we get an upgrade in performance with Yujiro Takahashi over Carl Anderson, honestly. Brandon, thoughts?
Yes, we probably do get an upgrade with that, but I think as exciting as these matches are, my prime directive with this podcast is for something to happen that the three of us can laugh at. Right. So whether that comes from TJP or Carl Anderson, I'll take it here. The one thing with New Japan is sometimes it will get a little serious. It's almost too good. We need some goofy shit to happen up front.
Chris, thoughts?
Well, if he's holding on to this belt, then I would expect that maybe their contract with WWE might not be as We're just assuming that their contracts are as tight as they used to be. They may not be. Not with a guy like that. It's happened. It's happened in the past, you know? I mean, they would let guys work the Stu Hart show. They traded Christian to TNA for Ric Flair so he can do the Hall of Fame speech when the Four Horsemen went in. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially for people who do not really matter, a.k.a. Carl Anderson. So, you know, I don't know. If they didn't acknowledge, if Carl Anderson was just like, didn't acknowledge it, is he acknowledging it?
Yeah, he's acknowledging it.
Yeah. So then I'm sure something's in the works. Maybe their contract's only a few months. Maybe they're only contracted to pop up for a few months and then they'll go back and do whatever the fuck they want.
The funny thing about this whole thing is that, okay, so Hikuleo faces Yujiro. It's not for the never openweight title. It's just to fill the hole because Carl Anderson refuses to show up. Hikuleo beats Yujiro Takahashi. Are we getting Carl Anderson in a title match at Wrestle Kingdom against Hikuleo? This is fucking Carl Anderson. Big money Carl Anderson. Big draw. People will be traveling from around Southeast Asia and the United States to go watch this. They're like, fuck yeah, I need my Carl Anderson. I need Carl Anderson in my life. Brandon thoughts?
We just might be, man. That'll really spark the flame here. That'll carry us through the end of the year, through Q4, the excitement over Carl Anderson, Hikuleo here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because they started this whole thing saying how we should be excited about New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this is the first thing we really got. Fucking Carl Anderson in 2022. Fuck. Jesus Christ. All right, so world television title. I can't spit that one out. World television title tournament semifinal match. Sonata versus Ren Narita. Jesus Christ. And they will face, the winner of that will face the winner of Zack Sabre Jr. versus Evil. There is no fucking way Sonata is not going to be winning this match. I get a feeling we're getting Sonata versus Evil again. Let's get excited for New Japan. Sonata versus Evil at Wrestle Kingdom. Brandon, thoughts?
I don't know. I don't want to shit on this. I don't know. We haven't watched this in so long. I feel like could Sonata have gotten better? He made it all the way to the end of the G1 during the pandemic and then kind of just disappeared from my mind. I don't know. I don't want to have an opinion yet. Maybe we'll just have to just take a look at one of these.
Chris, thoughts on this?
I think if you check the tape, Brandon said that this title belt was made for David Finlay.
That was me.
Oh, is that you that said that? Oh, this one's got David Finlay written all over it. Look, 2 matches on a massive card. I'm just glad it's one fucking night. I don't care about the rest.
Oh my God, yes.
Right? Who gives a shit?
I got to say, man, I don't. Zack Sabre Jr.'s got it. First of all, Zack Sabre Jr.'s doing promos in Japanese. It's fucking hilarious. English and Japanese. He's just going, "Hi, so desu ne. Hi, so desu ne. Hi, so desu ne." That's what he's doing. It's fucking stupid. I love it.
I'm so glad that dude told WWE they could shove it with their contract.
Yes, they did. Him and fucking Kota Ibushi both were like,
well, Kota Ibushi wasn't Kota Ibushi like, oh wait, I don't get all of my merch sales. Fucking blow me.
Yeah. No, thank you. Tag team match is an interesting one. El Desperado and Hiromu Takahashi versus Master Wato, Brandon's favorite, and Taiji Ishimori. You get a little mashup of people that don't really belong. Okay, we'll talk about this one first. Brandon, thoughts?
No, I don't have anything to say. Master Wato. All right, tag team. Let's go.
All right, how about this one?
This blue-haired goober.
Kazuchika Okada and Tama Tonga versus Bullet Club, Jay White and Kenta. This one should be pretty fucking good. But I think it ties into the next one. We get an IWGP Tag Team title match. Brandon, who's the IWGP Tag Team champ? Do you know?
FTR?
Chris, who is it?
I want to say FTR.
It is FTR. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just checking to see if you guys remember.
I was on the fence because I wasn't sure if they were the tag team champ or the junior tag team champs.
No. They're full on.
Full time. Yeah, full blown. They can't be juniors.
We're getting FTR versus United Empire, which I think ties into this other match. I think we might get Kazuchika Okada and Tama Tonga versus somebody. I don't know what's going on. But the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match. Will Ospreay versus Tetsuya Naito. Will Ospreay's the champ. This actually, I mean, for all the things that we say about Will Ospreay, I think fucking this would be a pretty damn good match. Brandon Love.
Where's Jay White at? I'm sick of most of these fucking guys we've talked
Jay White's
about.
in that Kazuchika Okada match.
Was he?
Jay
Did we
White
name
is
him there?
Okada.
Okay.
Jay White's the champ. He's facing Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. This is what this all is. It's building up to Wrestle Kingdom because we still have tag tournament, which is the snooze fest before Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, but it leans into my whole philosophy of taking your foot off the fucking gas for a few minutes and let everybody collect their thoughts, digest the story that you've been telling. We're going to tell this sidebar that really don't mean shit, right? We're going to have that middle of the season episode where they go back and explain why we ended up where we ended up at episode 1.
That's exactly what this is.
That's fine. I don't fucking care about that. They need to do this shit more instead of just being like, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, because you can't fucking do it every week, and you end up having rerun wrestling shows that we just bitched about for a fucking hour.
This entire card, if you look the way this card is built, or if you heard the way this card is built around, hey, remember these guys? This is why they don't like each other and why they're feuding before Wrestle Kingdom in another month. We're in fucking November. We're 2 months away from Wrestle Kingdom.
Terrifying.
So we got Kazuchika Okada and
Flame on.
We got Kazuchika Okada and Tama Tonga, who don't like Jay White. Jay White's facing Okada in the fucking title match at Wrestle Kingdom. And you got Kenta there, who's a dick. Who's going to take the pin, but he's the dick of the crew.
Kenta's gimmick is I'm a dick.
He's a fucking dick.
It doesn't get better than that. That's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I'm a dick.
That is indeed a gimmick.
Here's a book. One cover, I'm a good guy on it. The other cover, I'm a dick. Switch him up.
Complete asshole. Fantastic hair, though. Yeah. And we get the United Empire, the FTR things. I do not think FTR is going to be in the tag tournament, but they're definitely going to be on Wrestle Kingdom, I think.
Fucking bad. I'm actually, they're over with me. I like when they come out, and if they're not, I mean, a couple weeks ago they came out and then they brought out Tenman, which kind of sandbagged the shit out of them. But still, it is a skill making tag team matches not formulaic and not just a bunch of fucking moves that make no sense, and they're very good at it. So I do enjoy their matches.
Yeah, it's Wrestle Kingdom's in a month. We only know we know 2 matches. No, we know 3 matches now, because we get the IWGP Women's Title match, which is going to be Kairi versus Mayu Iwatani.
I'm not watching that.
We have the Junior Heavyweight Title match, and we have the Heavyweight Title match. It's the only matches we know. We can fill in the blanks and figure out the rest, but go ahead.
Actually, I am watching that, because if that match was what I wanted it to be, which is Kairi versus Momo Watanabe, my head would pop. Oh, 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 oh.
So there you go. Has anything I said made you excited for Wrestle Kingdom, Brandon?
Oh, geez, man. I think I don't want to just sound like a piece of shit, but the true answer is no, not yet. I think some time and some investment on my end, possibly, but just no right now. And since the Stardom show, all of this shit has just felt flat. It just is what it is. I'll get over it.
You know what's interesting, and I watched this. They did. I've been trying to catch up on Stardom. It's just like, it's kind of tough, but because it's tag league. But one thing that they do in Stardom, and they do this for all their big shows, their big tournaments, is they have a presentation ceremony where they bring everybody out that's in their blocks, and they come out and they all get a separate entrance, and they stand on stage for a big like fireworks and lights. They did it for their tag league. Every single tag came out. They all have their names, like names they made up. Every team has a name. It's not just like, oh, here's Queen's Quest team number 1. I mean, there are a couple people, and they make up their own name, and they add some like spice to it. They make it feel like, okay, these aren't just a bunch of tag teams that are together. This is guys that are working together, or women that are working together to work better, and we are now a unit. Like Tom and Natsupoi, they're a tag team. They're the champs. They're not just Tom and Natsupoi. They made up their own name. They're now called Meltier, whatever the fuck that means.
Stars.
Yeah, they're not just stars. Natsuko,
they have no fuck.
Natsuko Tora and Ruaka, the 2 chubby girls, they're their tag team. They're Body Mass Index 2000. That's their name.
That's fucking awesome.
It's brilliant.
I find myself watching when we watch Stars, or when I watch I watch Stardom. I just sit in the basement and yell the name of the faction, whatever they're from. Really, the two is just Stars and Queen's Quest. And I just sit in my basement, and there's a development by my house called King's Cross, King's Croft. So when I drive past it, I go, Queen's Quest at King's Croft.
It's true.
Constantly. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I take pictures of it and send them to people while I'm driving. Yeah! Don't make any fucking sense. I'm going to die in my truck.
But that small thing, back to the wrestling, that one small thing, the presentation of Stardom makes it feel like it's a big deal, as opposed to New Japan. It's like, guess what? Next month's Tag League. And then they do a press conference, and it's just, there we go.
They do that in the, what do you call it? It makes sense when they do it. If you're familiar with the Ryder Cup, which is like the international teams of golfers play against one another.
Oh, okay. The
day before it starts, big fucking presentation, and everybody's up there with their teams. So it is something that's done. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's legit. I dig that. I think it makes it feel special instead of just being like, oh, we're doing this thing next.
Brent, any final thoughts on this before we move on to the most important news of the week?
No, on that Stardom point, speaking of wrestling companies that have to put out 5 hours of content every fucking week, maybe that would be something that would make this matter a little bit more, eat some time, and become more interesting. Not a bad idea, Jim.
Yeah. All right. How about Keiji Muto's retirement tour? Brandon, boy, I know you're fucking excited.
I'm not, but let's do it. Yeah,
let's talk about it. Ready? So this match already happened. He's got 4 matches coming. Some of them we know the matches, some we don't. So Keiji Muto, Marufuji, and Inamura versus Tanahashi, Makabe, and Tomoyaki Hanma. It's match number 1. January 1st at the Budokan, we get Keiji Muto versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which is big fucking news. His first match back in Japan since joining WWE, I believe. He had that match of the WWE. It was like a WWE tour. He had a match. January 22nd, we get Sting and Muta tagging up against the Great Muta. Sorry, this is the last appearance of the Great Muta, not Keiji Muto. Keiji Muto. You know, for years I've been calling him Kenji. He's Keiji. And his final match is on the 21st of February. We don't have it announced yet, but
Triple H,
Nakamura, and a Noah ring. Exciting, I guess. Brandon, thoughts?
Could be. I mean, I'm more interested in the last match of the Great Muta than Keiji Muto. There's a lot more mysticism involved there, but when we saw him, he doesn't move very well. You said he didn't look very good in that final Noah show.
No, he didn't.
So, sounds like a lot of pomp and circumstance, and a little bit of Nakamura carrying him.
A lot of smoke and mirrors to make him look good, man. Well, one thing that I didn't mention was that what's his name? The Great O'Carney was wrestling. What the fuck's his name? The goofy guy. Oh, Toriano. And Keiji Muto. No, sorry. The Great Muta came out and sprayed fucking Okan in the face and blinded Okan. And Okan lost the match. But then the next show, Okan came out with his head wrapped up like a mummy with green makeup all over it, pretending he was blind, crawling to the ring on all fours. It was magnificent.
I love that.
That guy.
AJ Styles covered in dirt. Blew it.
That's what you need to do.
Fucking blew it.
He should have had green stuff on his face for the next month, and slowly it was starting to clear up. You know, like it was less green, until he was back to normal.
If you remember, when Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert spray painted the missing links back yellow because he was a coward.
He was a coward. Yellow belt.
He painted him yellow, and then the missing link wrestled for weeks with yellow spray paint still on his back. It was because he couldn't get the paint off. It was not because they had taped all of those matches right after they sprayed him with the paint and then aired them over the course of a month and a half. And Jim Ross and I got to look at, well, this is young Jim Ross. You got to look at that missing link. This man hasn't taken a bath in over a week.
It's so well done. 1 year I was going to be the missing link for Halloween. It got shot down by my wife. Brandon, look up the missing link pro wrestler for how he looked. This was going to be me for Halloween.
All right.
I had the furry boots and everything. I was ready to go. I got shot down.
Would you have shaved your head like that?
Absolutely.
You make a Halloween costume, you fucking commit.
Yeah, you commit to it.
I bleached my hair so white to be Sting, it fucking fell out. It's fucking breaking off when I was putting it into a flat top.
It was like half of the card at Halloween Havoc 91.
Oy vey.
So, not excited about Keiji Muto's retirement tour. Chris, you going to catch all these shows?
No, I will. I'm curious.
He's not going to be. Oh, he has announced he's not going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. His body can't take it. Believe it or not, it's true. He's like, I can't do two matches in a weekend. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
So he's got Sting.
Tagging with Sting as the Great Muto.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Who they wrestling? We don't know.
Don't know yet. I heard they're gonna dig Big Van Vader out of the earth, just prop him up in the corner.
Gary Hart. Skin for Akbar.
There's gonna be a bunch of dead guys in the corner.
It's versus Big Van Vader and Terry Gordy.
It'll be all those tombstones from Halloween Havoc 91 will be up in the corner. They have to.
Oh, yeah, it'll be interesting. But I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't. Look, Great Muta was fantastic. He should have retired a long time ago. It'll be over the top. If they actually took their time, put it together in a way that he doesn't look as old as he looks, then it'll be a night. Then it will be a night you can't miss.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm waiting to say that for like a minute.
Yeah. I'm sure. This was a rant. This was a ranting episode. Well done. We needed to do it. We had to get it out. It's all positivity after this, all right?
All right.
I hope.
Well, I won't pretend. Fuck them.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't pretend either.
This was not good, and but we're gonna find. It's. We try to sift through the shit so you don't have to, right?
Yes, we do.
And we're not out here. If you listen to the way that we talk about things, we never, this guy sucks, that guy, this isn't, I would have. Sometimes there's some of that, AJ Styles with the dirt, but I think we're right there.
I think we're right there.
Yeah, I think we're not saying they fucked up. We're saying they missed an opportunity that would have been really cool, even if it was just 1 week.
Absolutely,
he disappeared for a couple of days and came back. I was like, because you know how he is. I got out.
I'm free.
You thought you could dig? I dug myself out like Kill Bill.
Could you imagine if like an old Chevy came pulling up, covered in dirt, dust blowing off it, and then he opens the door, dirt comes pouring out of the seat,
pouring out of it. But that's just a missed opportunity, man. It's a shame. But we always try to, like I say, like I'm not going to shit on the guys doing the work in the ring. I mean, they're in there, they're fucking working their asses off, and a lot of times they do a good job. You can only make fucking chicken salad out of chicken shit so many fucking times before it just ends up it gets fucking redundant. And that's just where we are, and it's where we've been. I've enjoyed my AEW, but it's never blown me away. It's just been another wrestling show on TV. And I think that the bar was set so high. I think that we were in a rare time when we were younger and we saw the NWO come in. That was a big deal. Say what you will about it now. When it happened, it was fucking amazing. I sent you guys that video of Ric Flair and The Rock. Ric Flair was, I got it. There was a split second in that video where The Rock's beating on Ric Flair and he starts doing the Ric Flair strut.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed it to my wife and I was like, this guy truly was electrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Him doing not even a second. I don't even know if it was a whole second of him strutting like Ric Flair. And you were just like, this is fucking great.
He made Hulk Hogan interesting.
Yeah.
In that match.
It put Hulk Hogan back over because NWO Hulk Hogan was just like, and then he had a match with Hulk Hogan, which also, a lot of it had to do with the fact that like one started working heel and the other one started working babyface in the middle of a fucking match at WrestleMania. I'm sure Hogan had something to do with that. Say what you will about Hogan. He was the reason why he was over for as long as he was, even though because he didn't do shit. Right. But I'm just saying, you know, I mean, I think that I'm not one of these guys that says it was better when, but I think we were definitely, they hit a peak that's going to be very hard to hit again.
I think they hit a peak. They hit a peak, and they've been trying to recapture that exact same peak.
It.
It's just impossible.
Instead of doing something different.
You got to do something new.
You're never going to get there again. Do something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brendan.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you're probably, it's mostly adult wrestling fans at this point watching AEW. Don't make everything feel so predetermined. When I was a kid, I really didn't know who was going to win. That was one of my favorite parts about wrestling because I was just an idiot child. Mm-hmm. Just surprised me as an adult. I already can feel the next 3 AEW champions coming down the line. I don't need that. Do something different. Don't do what you think you're supposed to be doing because you're a wrestling company.
That's another thing that I've complained about before is the constant need to see how the sausage is made with professional wrestling. And when it's presented in the United States as a television show, I don't want to be spoiled in knowing how things go down ahead of time and having it so spilled out in front of you so it's super easy to figure out. Doesn't make it compelling at all. You know, if you read the Game of Thrones books and you knew that the Red Wedding was happening, you probably didn't have as much as an impact as me, who had no idea it was going to happen. And when it happened, my wife was crying on the couch next to me, and I was going, "Why?
What was? Oh, so perfect example. Back to you just said. There was a period. So there's 2 things I will use them both. I guess I'll just put them all in one. 2 things. I hated watching, like, the anxiety I felt watching Game of Thrones in the week leading up to the next episode. Like, it's you wanted to watch it, but you also wanted the season to be over, right? Was like the anxiety you feel when I was younger and there'd be like if the Flyers were in the playoffs, and I'd be like, fuck, why do the Flyers have to be on tonight? Because now I'm going to have this fucking anxiety and this possible disappointment that may take place. And Game of Thrones was like that, you know, when, and that's like, you want this feeling of, I don't know what's going to fucking happen next. And maybe if like an AEW, WWE is going to do what they do till the dawn, till the end of fucking time, till they go out of business. This is never going to change. But like, do you ever like, you do the word jumble? Right? The word find, that's what it is, the one where you find the words. And you can, well, the jumble's a different
Yeah, I know.
I like to do the jumble. The jumble, the word find, and you kind of like, if you pull the page back and all the scrambled letters and words will pop up out of it, you'll see them. Mm-hmm. Maybe they should just take the entire like structure of what they do in AEW and just shake it the fuck up and then just see where it goes. Mm-hmm. Like I said to you guys before, the one guy I could see with a successful AEW title run right now, if I look at it, that would be probably the most interesting and fun title run that they could do right now. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be meaningful, is Jonathan Silver. People would go fucking bananas if this goofball got the belt for a few. It could be a fucking week. Yep.
Or Kingston. Yeah.
Or Kingston. But, you know, even Kingston, like you see him, like Kingston has this, not to get too granular, but Kingston has this, like, people are such fans of his, which I understand, that there's going to be a large portion of the audience that might be like, he's going to win this match. Jonathan Silver, he's never going to win.
Right.
He's never going to win the championship for them. If you put the belt on a guy like that, it would fucking fuck everything up.
Right.
It would make it interesting. Even if you have him not lose it for like 6 months, he just keeps fucking hanging on to this thing. But be able to sense it when he starts to kind of lose traction and people are getting sick of it and take it off him.
I mean, they did it with Jericho in WWE when he went and won the title. He won 2 matches and won the title in
one night. Yeah.
Nobody expected him to win that time.
Nope. And it shifts the entire way that you plan your programming. Right.
It could have been 99. He wasn't there yet.
And just kind of going back to that Game of Thrones analogy, it's like when Ned Stark dies in the first season, you're like, oh, if this can happen, well, then anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Then it's no longer formulaic. If you want to make it formulaic, make the formula. You don't know what the fuck is going to go on next.
Think about like when another example is like what was it? Osaka Joe Hall, where Zack Sabre Jr. just comes to the ring unannounced in white gear, and then Shibata's music hits, and the crowd who can't cheer, they have to clap, have wet fucking masks because of the COVID, and they're crying into their fucking masks, and then he has the match, and he's like, "I'm back," and then he has an unannounced match at fucking Wrestle Kingdom. He's just like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." It was unannounced. No one knew. The only people that knew were Shibata, his opponent, and the booker. Shocking. Shock us.
Yeah.
I'll make it predictable.
Take a guy's brain out, put it back in, send him into Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, those Japanese doctors are really ahead of the time. Man. Fucking all of them are Dr. Frankensteins.
I very rarely post on. I never post on Twitter. I maybe had two Twitter posts.
Don't do it to yourself.
No. So I had to this one because I don't give a shit. These motherfuckers in the online wrestling world, whatever the hell you call it, they're noise to me. They don't matter. But somebody posted, if there was one thing you could change in modern wrestling, what would it be? My comment was just Meltzer. Surprisingly, I got no responses to that. I'm probably not on anybody's algorithm or in their feed. It was probably so buried it didn't matter. But every once in a while, you get one.
I get a couple likes here and there. I don't fucking care.
I
put it out in the void. Put it out,
post and ghost.
Yep.
There you go.
Got a couple arguments. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah, let's get out of here. All right. Thanks for joining us this week, and join us here every week at Wrestling is Hard. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hard_wrestling. Subscribe and follow. Tell your friends. For Brandon and Chris, I'm Jim, and we'll be back here next week.